Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor back. Very, very excited about today's show because we have an individual after my own heart. He is the proprietor of nerdfitness.com. He is none other than Steve Kamb. He is here to help us level up our lives. Steve, welcome.
Hey, Jonathan, what's going on, man?
Hey, well, Steve, thank you so much for joining us. And just to get us started here, your website is called Nerd Fitness. Tell me a little bit about nerd fitness as opposed to just regular fitness.
Absolutely. Well, honestly, it started because I'm a huge nerd and I love helping people get healthy. It all really started, I want to say, years and years ago. I was interested in getting healthy and building muscle and getting stronger, but I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. So I spent, I want to say, a good 5-6 years doing what I thought I needed to. But instead managed to do everything the wrong way as far as getting healthy. I was reading like the stupid muscle and fitness magazines and taking, stupid, unhealthy supplements and things like that just because I didn't know any better. That's just what I thought you were supposed to do. It wasn't until I finally, really analyzed and sat down with a trainer, got lucky. I signed up for a gym membership and they had a free personal trainer session with it. And the guy completely changed my diet and my workout plan. And I had more success in like 30 days than I had had in 6 years prior to that. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head inside. And I thought, geez, if it took me 6 years of struggling and making mistakes to finally find my path to living a better life and being healthy, there have to be other people out there like myself that are interested in getting healthy or losing weight or whatever it may be, but have no idea where to start, have no idea where to look, and don't have anybody to turn to. So I thought I had a unique opportunity to create a website specifically designed for beginners that would help them not make all the mistakes that I had made. So when brainstorming the ideas for the website, with there being a billion fitness websites out there, I knew I wanted to do something a little different. And I was trying to think of like, maybe there's some sort of niche that I could carve out specifically instead of trying to become like the number one overall fitness guru in the entire internet. It was like, why don't I just, become the guy that helps a very specific group of people get healthy? And for me, it was simple. It's like, I'm a huge nerd. Like I love, I've read all the Harry Potter books. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge bookworm. I've built my own computer, but I also love fitness and exercise and now helping people get healthy. So it was just a random Google search. I typed in nerd and fitness and nothing popped up. So I bought nerdfitness.com and here I am 5 years later, somehow running it as a business.
Oh, Steve, well, that's very, very cool. It reminds me again, like I said, I think we're a little bit cut from the same cloth because, as you know, I do work at Microsoft during the day and enjoy my health and fitness pursuits on the nights and weekends. And it's within Microsoft, there's a term, and I actually don't know if this has permeated the broader nerd community, but the term is, and this is going to sound, us nerds think it's funny, programmer. So instead of being a programmer, it's called programmer. These are people who enjoy working with computers and are not the canonical, pocket protector type of person.
That's awesome.
So once the movement has a name like that, you're onto something. So, and Steve, can you tell me a little bit about, like, when you said when you got started, were you a thin individual who was trying to primarily gain muscle? Like, where was your brain at?
Yeah, I was definitely the skinny, weak guy trying to get bigger and stronger. And again, I didn't know what to do. So I signed up for a gym membership and I walked into a gym and looked at every machine and looked at the treadmills and looked at the weights and just terrified. That feeling that people get when they walk into a gym when they don't really know what they should be doing. It's very nerve-wracking and can cause a lot of anxiety. And that's definitely what I felt. And I remember lying down on the bench and trying to do bench presses. I think I loaded up like 135 pounds in the bar. And at the time, I probably only weighed about 135 pounds and had never worked out before then. So just proceeded to drop it onto my chest, and I had to like rotate to the left and right until the weight spun off the bar and hit the ground. So that I could,
oh, no.
Like one of the most humiliating moments of my entire life. That being said, it kind of lit that fire in me and got me excited. Like, oh, okay, like this is kind of cool. Yeah, maybe today I can only pick up the bar, but next week maybe I can pick up the bar and 5 pounds on each side. Or maybe next week I can do this plus that, whereas I couldn't do that last time. So I almost immediately took to the whole concept of strength training just because it almost seemed like a video game to me, where you have this character, that character being myself, that is getting stronger and leveling up and gaining experience as you defeat more and more difficult monsters, aka picking up heavier and heavier weights, or running a race or running a mile faster than you ran it before.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a beautiful analogy, Steve. And I think that's, as anyone who's getting started out, either from regardless of your goal, whether it's to build muscle or to burn fat, and if you're starting at a point where you have no muscle or a lot of fat, while that is an intimidating place to be, in some ways it's the coolest place to be, because the rate of, assuming you have the correct information, which we know is super important as you've identified, when you find that correct, scientifically backed and simple information, the rate of progress you can expect right when you're getting started you're never going to see that again. So it's this double-edged sword where it's intimidating, but at the same time, that slope of progress is just so steep and awesome. It can be really encouraging.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, it's the, almost like that carrot that's kind of dangled on the string in front of you. You're always curious, like, instead of working out being this, oh geez, I have to go run on a treadmill, or like I have to go do this thing that I'm really not looking forward to. Instead, you get to that point where it's, oh man, I'm so excited because I can't wait to see if I can do what I wasn't able to do last time. So I think that's why it really resonated with me, and why it's really resonated. I think recently, there's just been an explosion in nerds and desk jockeys and people like that interested in getting healthy. And I think a lot of it is kind of looking at life as this gamification process, and how you can combine those things and look at your life and your workouts in a different way, so that you're actually enjoying it rather than dreading it.
Stephen, I think that's really profound on many, many levels. And that message, and the message that your website represents, this is why I wanted to talk to you on a more metaphysical level, is the paradigm that bettering yourself should be an enjoyable process, not a burden. Like if what you're doing to help you become a healthier, happier person is if it makes you feel bad, that's not healthy. It's like, this should be fun and enjoyable, and we should be laughing, and we should, like you said, gamify our lives. No?
Yes, absolutely. When people come to me and they say, "Oh, I don't enjoy exercising," I say, "Okay, well, tell me what you like to do, or tell me what you think of when you think of exercise." And they think of being in a tiny confined gym, maybe on a treadmill for 2 hours, or sitting at a weight machine surrounded by a bunch of people that they don't know, or maybe whatever it is that the fitness, I make them promise me that they're never going to do those things ever again. I say, if you don't enjoy fitness, that you haven't found that fitness activity that works for you yet. So you need to try some more things. Here's the truth. Your diet is going to be 80 to 90% of your success or failure. That other 10%, 15%, whatever it is kind of supplemental to what your health is. For that reason, you can get healthy and have fun with exercise in about a million different ways. Yoga, riding a bike, karate, weightlifting, running, sprinting, ultimate frisbee, live action role playing, hiking, taking your kids for a walk, playing with your dog in the backyard. There are so many different ways to get healthy. And if you have this vision in your head of, I hate getting healthy, I want people to look at what that vision is and what they see themselves doing that's making them so against the idea of exercise, and then identifying other things that they could try, or other things that they enjoy doing that also happen to get their heart rate up or make them move, and then find ways to do that a lot more often.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and also, Steve, it sounds like you mentioned too that if your goal is health, certainly the vast, vast, vast majority of that is going to have to do with what you're putting in your mouth.
Absolutely. Yes. Diet is so important. That's something I didn't realize for 6 years. I just naturally assumed I was always going to be the skinny, weak guy that could never look any different. And changing my diet within 30 days, I saw more success than I had in 6 years prior. And since then, I've just continually devoured every resource imaginable as far as diet and fitness advice. More specifically relating to diet, though, just certain ways of eating that I've found have had just profound and tremendous success for a lot of people, and allowed them to, make smaller changes, but ultimately end up in a vastly different place than they had expected when they initially started their fitness journey. And it's all because of their fueling their body with the right kinds of foods compared to compared to fueling themselves with the crap that they pick up from a drive-through window, or get in a box or in the freezer of their local grocery store.
Well, Stephen, I love what you just said there, because in some ways the fitness aspect can sometimes overwhelm people. And as you said, I mean, it doesn't really need to. You can just get out there, be active, and don't get too hung up on that side of it, because like if you can just not drink a bunch of soda and eat food, and we define food as stuff you can find directly in nature. Like if you can just do that, and you don't need to be hungry, like you will have gone so far to further your health. Like you will be so far along that like maybe once that happens, you'll have the energy to go, and maybe going and getting active doesn't sound good right now because your nutrition is such that you have no energy. And maybe if you just started bubbling with energy all the time, you'd be like, oh my God, I got to find something to do, or I'm just going to dance on top of my desk here. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. I think there's a couple different ways to look at it. And the best way I had it put to me, and some of the ways I've seen people have the most success, is that they first identify, or they create this new identity for themselves. When it comes to fitness, like I'm going to be a healthy person, or I am somebody that never misses a workout, or I am somebody that cooks my own meals twice a day, or whatever it is. If you can then prove that to yourself with really, really small victories over the course of a week or two, you start to build a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum. And then you look in the mirror and notice you've dropped a couple pounds, or you go to work and somebody at your office says, hey, have you lost weight? Like, you look great. And all of a sudden, like all these little tiny moments just continually build up for you. And this momentum, inertia, something that was kind of keeping you stagnant before and keeping you stuck in the same place. Yeah, that first week or two is kind of really slow as you're getting the ball rolling. However, once that ball starts rolling and you're getting success, it's almost like it's rolling down a really steep hill, and momentum just continues, and success begets more success. So I strongly encourage people when they're starting out, especially if they're going to pick one change, whether it's cutting out soda or cutting back from a case a week down to, half a case a week, or every other day instead of every day, things like that. Just very small changes that you can then prove to yourself and show, yes, this is something I am capable of doing. I am showing that I have had some success with this, and I can build on it. So I think that's probably a huge part of it too. And not, obviously people know you need to eat less and move more, but there's so much more to it beyond just that. And if you can kind of tie in some of these mental victories as well, I think you're going to have a much better chance of succeeding.
Well, and Steve, it's ironic too that two things I want to talk about, like an additional, as you would say, gamification layer that you can put on top of those small changes. But you even mentioned something there at the end that like everyone knows we need to eat less and move more. The irony, of course, being that if we're eating a garbage diet of edible products and we just try to eat less of that, we're just going to be hungry and crabby and feel like crap. And then we're definitely not going to have any energy to go exercise. And then we're going to rebound and be even worse off, and then think this is a futile task because we tried to do it and it didn't work. But that's because, again, we're trying to take an already nutritionally deficient diet that is already depriving us of required nutrition and further depriving ourselves. And there's a much different model out there. There's a model of changing the quality of what you're eating, and that in effect prevents you from overeating, because high quality foods are very difficult to overeat. And then that gives you the energy to want to exercise, which is a very different model if you think about it.
Yeah, it's completely different than what is definitely preached out there. And in my research and studies and results through the thousands of people that come through Nerd Fitness, a calorie is not created equal. Like 200 calories of Twinkies is not the same thing as 200 calories from broccoli, or 200 calories from grass-fed beef, or other healthy foods. So I think once people start to understand how they fuel themselves is going to be responsible for largely how they feel throughout the day. If they can identify a few small changes and make sure they get those nutrients and things that they need to be eating, like you just said, all of a sudden those workouts that seem like a huge pain in the ass to deal with, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I actually do have some energy, and because I have that energy, I can go through this workout. I feel really good about it. And you see better results at the end of this workout compared to last workout. And again, that's just part of that momentum and inertia that is working in your favor. It just continually moves in that direction.
Well, and that's so spot on, Steve. And the other thing I wanted to mention that you talked about these really small changes is that another thing that I think it really helps people, and that I see individuals doing on your site all the time, is not only having those small commitments, but leveraging the power of social media to help keep you accountable. Because I mean, there's Weight Watchers has been around for a long time. Jenny Craig has been around for a long time, and these individuals, well, not a lot of individuals have success in this program, but the individuals that do have success in those programs, often it's because of the social support those programs provide. And now with the advent of social media, I mean, if you say like, I've got this one thing I want to do today, you post it up on Facebook or on Twitter in the morning, and at night you talk about how you did, and you can get that accountability in such a streamlined fashion. You don't have to go to a support group. You can just do it from your desk.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the part of nerd fitness that I'm most proud of, is being part of this really great community of people from all over the world that are helping each other stay accountable and have success and provide support and reassurance and kind of lend a shoulder to lean on when people are struggling. I think a huge issue with people when they're trying to build new habits is that they don't really create any sort of accountability system, whether or not they follow through with it. Like the way somebody described it to me, and I really enjoyed it, was if you're getting ready to start building a new habit, let's say you want to go for a run, you want to run a mile every day. Sitting on your couch watching TV and you have to convince yourself to get off your couch and go run, right now the pain of going to run is much greater than the enjoyment of sitting on your couch and watching TV. So what you need to do is you need to flip-flop it. You need to create some sort of accountability system where actually the pain of not running is greater than actually getting off your butt and going to exercise. One, because when you do exercise, it's going to make you feel a lot better. But two, maybe there's some sort of accountability system with your friends or financially. Like a good friend of mine was struggling forever to try to lose weight, and he just couldn't get himself to follow through with it. So he bet his friends that he was going to lose a certain amount of weight and get to a certain body fat percentage by the time he got married, 6 months later, or he owed his friend $500. Sure enough, after 3 years of not actually following through with anything, the thought of losing $500 and then answering to his new wife that he lost $500 for being lazy, he got his act together and got his butt in gear. And sure enough, he actually reached his goal, I think, 2 months ahead of time, because he created that accountability system. He told his friend, look, if I don't follow through with these things, I'm going to pay you this money. And, it kind of shifts that focus from, oh, if I don't do this, then it doesn't affect me in any way. Instead, it's like, oh, geez, it does affect me now, or it does affect other people, or maybe my friends can now call me on it. And I don't want to be known as the guy that starts things and then quits them. So I should probably just follow through with this. You do that repeatedly, you do that enough, and all of a sudden you start to realize that you do, in fact, enjoy the exercise, and you see the process and the progress and all these great things. But in order to get to that point, you kind of have to use some tricks to overcome that, that really intelligent brain of ours that can convince us to skip anything and rationalize anything that we don't really feel like doing. Steve,
that is just so spot on. And another example of that, making that pain-pleasure balance, which is really, that's at the end of the day, that's what we just got to change our perception of what is painful and what is pleasurable. And I so often hear, or not here, this is we when an individual who maybe their entire life has struggled with a bad habit has a child, or has their child say to them, like, Mommy, I don't want you to be sick anymore. Or like there's, it's like someone else, there's another reason to do it. It's not just because your society tells you to do it, or it's not just because people say you should have 16-inch arms for a guy or be a size 4 for a girl. That's not, we know in both our conscious brain and our subconscious brain that that's not enough motivation. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But if you have actual compelling reasons outside of yourself to help drive you to do these things, I think that's a great way to shift that pain-pleasure balance. What do you think, Steve?
Oh, for sure. I'm absolutely 100% in agree with you on that. If you don't have a good reason for doing what you're doing, you're going to give up at the first sign of adversity. And people come to me and they say, oh, I need to lose weight, or my doctor told me I should do this, or I know I really should probably do that. And to those people, I can already tell that they are not ready for it. They're not doing it for the right reason. When you don't have that thing in front of you, or that reason, that thing that sits in your brain all day long that tells you, like, I'm making better decisions for myself, I am living a better life, I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this for my wife, my husband, I'm doing this for my kids, my future grandkids, whoever. If you're not really invested in these decisions that you're making, you're just going to give up as soon as it gets tough, as soon as work gets busy, or as soon as your kid has to come home sick from school. All of a sudden, you look for any excuse in the book to skip out on what you're doing. However, if you're doing it for the right reasons and you have that reason at the front of your mind, it's a lot easier for you to kind of suck it up on those days when you don't feel like going, and you put on your proverbial hard hat and go to work and get things done that need to be done, and you're going to feel so much better after you do them. So those are the things that I encourage people to do. Identify that one reason, and it's my reason personally is I'm a huge fan of the movie The Shawshank Redemption, my favorite movie of all time. And there's a quote in the movie that says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And that particular quote resonated with me so much. And all throughout running my business and exercising and getting better, whenever I feel like kind of slacking, I'm reminded of that quote. I actually have it, I used to have it hanging on my wall. And now actually somebody bought me a decorative pillow for my couch that has that exact phrase like sewn into it. So every day when I walk by my couch in the morning, I see that phrase sitting right front and center. And it reminds me that we only got one chance on this planet. This is the one, we get one lap around, and that's kind of it. And we're in the one body that we get to have, and we have to take care of it. And when we do take care of it, it allows us to enjoy so many other great things. So having that phrase at the front of my mind on a daily basis is really helpful. So for other people, I encourage them to either write down the reason or, put it in an email note, something that pops up on their computer when they first turn on their computer to go to work. Maybe it's written on their bathroom mirror, whatever it is, something that just continually reminds you why you're doing the things that you're doing and why you're trying to make these healthier decisions and changing your life.
I love it, Steve. I can't really think of anything more helpful or profound to think at this moment, because that is pretty darn core. So I think we might have to end on that high note. Well, Steve, I'm actually curious. One last thing, and that's what's next for you, Steve? What is just Nerd Fitness gonna be pretty soon? Just overwhelm the world's servers? Because it's growing quite quickly here. What's next for you?
It is. It's getting pretty big. Honestly, I'm just excited that every day more people find the site and they come to me and they say, I feel like I found my new home, and that means the world to me. I feel like majority of people that read Nerd Fitness is like they're the one person in their group of friends that is interested in getting healthy, but they don't. The rest of their friends are perhaps not at the point yet where they're ready to make those changes. So they come across Nerd Fitness and they come on, they join the community, which is free, and it's a really, really thriving, awesome, supportive community. And people go in there and they see like, oh, geez, I can talk about Harry Potter and Star Wars and how to eat better, and like this, I get to geek out on two really cool things. Like, this is awesome. I feel like I've found my new family, and that means the world to me. Like that is what keeps me going every day. As far as what's next for Nerd Fitness, just trying to think of more ways to connect with people and more ways to help people, and more specifically, more ways to eliminate any excuses people have to get to exercise and get healthy. We're actually putting the finishing touches on our second iPhone app, which is going to be a full-blown Nerd Fitness workout app, and that should be hopefully submitted to Apple by the end of this week or beginning of next week. So I guess by the end of the month, it should be available. It's going to be a free app. It'll have free workouts and all sorts of different ways to motivate yourself and track your progress and things like that. So that is the biggest project right around the corner that I'm very, very excited about.
Oh, well, Steve, that's great. By the time this show airs, that is definitely going to be out there. So, folks, please, if you are a nerd and you're into fitness, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, if you tend to enjoy things that are characterized as being a bit more nerd-like, such as Steve and such as myself, go to the Apple store and check out the Nerd Fitness app. And while you're there, also boot up Safari or get on your PC and check out nerdfitness.com, because Steve's a great guy and you should support him. What do you think, Steve?
You're too kind. Thanks. Yeah, honestly, it's just a lot of fun, and I love connecting with people. And the fact that I get to do this every day, I get to wake up, exercise, read some nerdy books, play some nerdy video games, and then help people get healthy is like a dream come true. So I feel very fortunate to be able to do what I do, and I love being able to connect with people that love the same things.
Well, Steve, I think you're coming from a place of genuine passion and genuine caring, and I generally find that success follows when one has those appropriate motivations, and you certainly do. So thank you for all that you do. And listeners, like we said, in all seriousness, please do check out nerdfitness.com. Check out the wonderful free community there, and check out the new Nerd Fitness app in the Apple Store. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Jonathan. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's show. And remember, you can eat more and exercise less as long as you do it smarter.